You are now tuned in to Trust the Scoop with your host, Philip Dukes, a.k.a. Dukes the Scoop.
Yo, welcome to the Brian Harden has been hired for a week and a half, 2 weeks edition of Trust the Scoop. The Derek Mason is your new defensive coordinator edition of Trust the Scoop. Mike Bobo and Will Friend are on the offense edition of Trust the Scoop. I'm your host, Philip Dukes. Find me at Dukes the Scoop on Twitter, Dukes the Scoop on Instagram, and at Philip Dukes on Facebook. And I have one of the most influential guys in Auburn media right now. Got it out the mud himself, a former college coach, Auburn bloodline, blue blood Auburn guy, Jake Crane. Give it up for Jake Crane, everybody.
Hey, what's up, Dukesy? Glad to be back on, man. I know a lot's gone on since the last time we talked, and I know the people out there are excited to hear kind of where it's going.
No, absolutely, man. So, so let's jump right into it. Mm-hmm. Derek Mason, on a scale of 1 to 10, how do you rate this hire?
It's tough to be a 10, but it's about as close as you can get. And the reasons for that, I look at what was available. I look at guys like him and Marcus Freeman. Avalos would have been in that second tier, I think, behind them. A guy that's in the running for the Boise State job. But, Brian Harsin knocked it out of the park with this one. And it's for many reasons. And I've talked about this on the radio and on the show, and me and you have discussed it. And it's not just for defense. And schematically, what Derek Mason does, philosophically what he does defensively, understanding how important different areas of the field are, understanding how you have to adjust to certain offenses that he's seen out in the West Coast and then now in the SEC. He started out pretty much as a 3-down, 3-4 guy and blended some of that 4-3 stuff in the SEC. And in reality, like me and Cole Kulick were talking about, you got to be multiple, and it's reactionary. So if the offense, throws out a certain personnel, it doesn't matter, what you consider your base. You have to be able to match that. And be able to make sure you know where the matchups are. So from a schematic standpoint, you're not going to find a guy better. You're not going to find a guy better from a personality standpoint that has relationships with players that guys want to play for, regardless if they're former or current, which I think helps in recruiting, which is a big aspect. But there's also a hidden layer, I think, as well. Derek Mason coached in the SEC. He understands what the teams are trying to do schematically against you. As I've said, Tennessee, Georgia, Florida, what does Dan want to do to you when you do give him 3 down on a passing down? What does he want to do? What is, Pruitt and them, as long as he's going to be there at Tennessee, I don't know how much longer. What do they want to do, offensively with Jim Chaney when you're showing pressure on third and passing down? So you're really not having to uncover everything if you're Brian Harsin with Derek Mason, because you can go right across the hall and say, Coach Mason, we're sitting here putting together this offensive game plan. You coached against, Texas A&M a bunch. What do you think about them? What did you guys do that worked? What didn't work? What do you think they're going to give us here? And for a guy that's new in the conference like Brian Harsin, it's efficiency. And I'm going to keep saying it. It's a race for efficiency. That's what the process is. That's why you're seeing all these structural hires around to make sure that you can fast track and streamline information. So coaches like Derek Mason can worry now about, just game planning. But there's a lot of stuff that goes into it off the field as well. Relationships with coaches, not only in the state of Tennessee where he was in Vanderbilt, but all throughout the Southeast and even out on the West Coast, from his time at Stanford, being able to go out there like Alabama goes out there and snags a Najee Harris, or you go out there and snag a big time DB, or you start getting in some of these recruiting battles that you weren't really able to because your footprint wasn't that expanded. So long story short, Derek Mason is a great hire for many, many reasons. And I think it's already paying dividends from a structural and layout of the land standpoint in recruiting. And there's going to be a lot of guys that hit this portal that Auburn needs. And having a guy like Derek Mason that can go do an in-home that's available, that's been a head coach, that understands how to recruit and what these kids want is going to be a big feather in the cap early from Brian Harsin.
No, man, that's absolutely great stuff and good to hear. Now I have another question now. There's a perception that a player at Vanderbilt wouldn't necessarily be a player at Auburn as far as the level or the caliber of player. Now, with your coaching experience at South Alabama, and a lot of times you do see guys have in their final 5 South Alabama and Vanderbilt in the same top 5, right? So
yeah. It's because it's such an academic powerhouse, man. That South Alabama, just like Vanderbilt.
Right.
I made a 24 on the ACT, dog. It's crazy.
Let's get it. So, but seriously, like with with your experience as far as recruiting against Vanderbilt at times, right?
Yeah.
Do you feel like the caliber of player that Derek Mason may have had relationships with for the 22 class or the 23 class of guys who are already looking at Vanderbilt, do you think those type of players, if you take one of the best ones, maybe a low 3-star that may have been eyeing Vanderbilt already and are having a relationship with Derek Mason, do you feel like he would be able to pluck that type of talent and bring them to Auburn and they will be successful? Or is it the type of deal that Derek Mason just has to clear his slate and just start going after 4- and 5-star guys?
That's a great question. And, places like Vanderbilt, that there's always a couple guys. You look at Zach Cunningham from a couple of years ago, the linebacker they had, who's I think just made another tackle, as I just said
right.
this. And there's always spots. But, you can think about it in that term. I don't know how much. I think it's actually the inverse. I wonder how many homes of 4-star guys or big-time guys that had offers from other places that Derek Mason called or had a great relationship with. And those guys said, man, coach, if you just weren't at Vanderbilt, I would come there. If you were at a bigger school, I would come there because I would love to play for you. But I'm trying to make the NFL. And, scouts will go to Auburn and Alabama and Georgia before they go to Vandy. I'll be able to play in bigger games and get in the bigger scene. I wonder how many recruits in the 2022 class, because even if you're at Vanderbilt, you still have to identify who these guys are. You still know the high school coach. You said, listen, this guy's a big time guy. I don't know if you're going to be able to touch him at Vandy. But now all of a sudden he calls Derek Mason and goes, just heard you took the Auburn DC job. We got this 5-star defensive end. You remember him. Y'all had a great relationship. I think you need to get in the door and you guys will have a chance. I wonder how many big time guys that are younger guys, or even guys that went to other places that maybe are at other places, they're going to hit the transfer portal that go, wait a minute. Derek Mason was my favorite guy that recruited me. I couldn't go there because he was at Vandy and I just couldn't make that decision. But now he's at Auburn. Well, I'm going to go to Auburn. So I wonder how many kids on the other side of that heard that news and Auburn instantly jumped into their top group, because now they get to be recruited by a guy that they love to be recruited by, the guy they love to be recruited by, a guy they would love to play for. And now he's at a place that you have a chance to win a national championship and play on the biggest stage week in and week out.
No, that's absolutely. And when I thought about the question, I was like, man, I'm thinking about
that's a great question.
And I'm thinking about it. I appreciate it. And I'm thinking like, well, damn, some of these guys, I look at a guy like Keyshawn Vaughn, right? And I'm looking at the type of running back he was and the type of running back. He actually had a decent season for the time he did get into the game for Tampa Bay this year. And but at Vanderbilt, I just thought he was a guy. I was like, man, how did this guy make it at Vanderbilt? Right?
Yeah.
And you start like Zach Cunningham, right? He comes like he's from Huntsville, I think. Or somewhere. Where is Zach Cunningham from?
I want to say it right. I can't remember off the top of my head, but Duke's talking about it. There's always, and you can go to any school. I mean, there's always guys that either flew under the radar or that weren't projected. Because, I mean, it's an inexact science. I mean, my dad used to tell me all the time, I turned Zach Thomas down because he was too short. It's like I sat in the living room and told him we didn't have a spot for him because he was too short. So, it happens to everybody. There's a lot. I mean, Kirby chose Jake Fromm over Justin Fields. At the end of the day, hindsight's always 20/20. But there are guys, and that's why you see sometimes in the NBA, you turn on and some dude's balling, and you're like, where is he from? Or the NFL, you're like, I've never heard of it. And all of a sudden, like, yeah, he's from Shadron State. And you're like, man, where is that? It happens all the time. Right. And I really think it's almost a different art form. Because if you think about it, it's really interesting to think about. So as a coach, you're used to evaluating and projecting high school kids. Mm-hmm. Well, now that the portal's so crazy this year and it's kind of turned up, now you're watching tape, almost like huddle tape, but it's a dude that plays for NC State. So now you're evaluating, and it's got to be easier, as a coach, because he's playing against the competition that you're playing at. So you get an actual true evaluation. It's not a guy maybe from a smaller school that you don't know the level of competition he's playing at, if you really know, or you think he has a ceiling that's tall. It's almost a totally different evaluation and totally different situation. So I thought that's been interesting as well. But no, it's a great question, and it's something I think on both sides of the coin a little bit, but coaching at places like Vanderbilt, and even when I coached in junior college for a few years, it makes you a better coach. Like you have to be, because you don't have those 4 and 5 stars. And it almost, you almost go to another place, I guess, and you feel kind of spoiled. And it's like, man, well, if I'm able to have the same energy and the same passion and get out of these guys what I got out of some less talented guys and be able to be productive, well, it just makes it more fun for me and obviously increases my chances of doing the things that I want to do personally. So there's a lot of moving parts that go into it, but it was a really good question.
No, man, thanks a lot. And let me ask you, so there's a coach that we've been hearing about that's in Auburn right now from Boise State. So we talked about the strength coordinator on the phone, the strength coach. He looks old school to me. I like it. You know, he's not one of the guys who's going to be, you know, on the sideline with his sleeves cut off or anything, or, you know, doing New Jersey fist pumping. But he's the
guy that, you know, you just pray that for some reason some technological thing doesn't go wrong in your phone to screw up your alarm, or that, God forbid, something happens, somebody wakes you up, and you just have a picture of Jeff Pittman in your mind, realizing if you're late, almost like Coach Yox. And, you know,
I swear
Gerard Powers on, you know, a guy me and you both know.
Right.
Yeah, he was talking about that.
I was thinking that
it's something to where it's, you don't want to, not only do you not want to let your teammates down, and everybody's on this thing together, and you want to be a leader and set a good example, but man, that the punishment, I mean, I've watched guys bear crawl up 5-yard lines, or excuse me, 10-yard lines marked out all the way up and down the field, constantly, you know, and stuff like that. And it's the ultimate deterrent. And it's like I said, and sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but it's like that alarm we all have. Like if you played and had to go to those early workouts or anything, have to get up and go do something, physical labor, manual labor, whatever, there's a certain alarm on your phone that, whether it was back in the day in high school, you used to have to do that job that was so tough, that goes off, that just makes you sick to your stomach, like instantly. I have one. I try to delete it from my phone. I think it's impossible to delete from my phone, but it'll never make a noise again, because if I hear it, I will literally get physically ill. But that culture, that not wanting to let everybody down, and understanding that there is accountability and there's consequences for you not doing what's in the best interest of winning, that's going to be the difference with Jeff Pittman. I think, not that Ryan Russell didn't do it. Ryan Russell's a really good strength coach. I just think maybe bringing in this guy that's kind of a specialty with linemen and developing there, I think it was time to go kind of in a new direction. And I do think the linemen at Auburn need to physically look better. You kind of look at Auburn compared to other guys, you know, there's not really muscled up on the offensive line, not just kind of sloppy a little bit. And I'm not trying to make fun of anybody, but if you look at these teams that win national championships, there are guys that are 6'4" and 310, but you know, they're a good 310. They're a strong 310. They're a sturdy 310. And Auburn just hasn't had that across the board. And you have to, because that's where the game starts and wins and loses. And people will be upset and be like, oh, well, that's not nice. Well, I'm not here to be nice. I'm trying to tell you the reason Auburn's not winning. And that's one of the reasons, because physics is physics, regardless of how you feel. Right.
No, absolutely. And I've seen different types of linemen, but what I will say is that for Auburn to be playing so many linemen out of position, that
they're all guards.
Right. So being able to have somebody who's like, if you're going to be out of position, you got to be absolutely mauling somebody when you get your hands on them, right?
So, you better be good at something.
Right. So setting that foundation, setting that base, that, you know what, if anything, we're all like, you're basically running up against a refrigerator every time. And I think that's even his build right now, right? So if you may not have the definition, but that dude looks like, if I don't want to fight him, well,
I mean, it's like Terrence Cody too. I mean, Terrence Cody was so big that just science told you weren't going to block him. Like it just, unless you had one of them, that's his size and is able to do the things he does, it's really tough. And again, football is blocking and tackling. That's what it is. It's summed up. That's what it is. And when you have guys that are able to physically control the line of scrimmage at every position, not at one position, not at just one position, not at just two positions, at every position, because that's why the weight room is so important. It's a game of pushing people around. And up front, you got to push them around. So Auburn has got to get back, and a lot of it's personnel and evaluating offensive linemen and letting guys get into the program and develop for 2 years in the weight program before you put them out there. And that comes to depth, because a lot of high school linemen, most 95% are not physically ready to play in the SEC, and they could be big kids, but they're just not strong enough, because you can be big. There's a lot of people that are big, but there's not a lot of people that are big and strong. That's why you don't see every person that's 6'7", 300 pounds playing tackle in the NFL, because it's just not about being just big. It's about being big and strong and flexible. If you're those three things, you can have success.
I think there's something that I call game weight, and that's like in game strength. Same thing as game speed, same principle, but you'll have a guy who's 6'7", 330 and soft as a bowl of marshmallows, right?
Yeah.
But he may go bench press 225, 15, 20, 25, however many times it takes for him to say he's strong, right? But in the game, and it's going to lead to my next point, if he doesn't have that game strength to know how to sit in his stance so he's not being taken off balance by a feint move or a swim move or somebody leveraging where his bad weight into a position where he becomes out of position, then it doesn't matter. Like, I don't care how strong you are or anything. Yeah. So the flip side of that, so let's say we got the strength coach, right? And he's going to make us physically strong. Now we get to the offensive line. Now our new offensive line coach is Will Friend. What do you know and what do you think about Will Friend will enable our guys to transition from the weight room strength into that game strength or that game size?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Will be a friend of a lot of Auburn fans, not only, from technique, but recruiting as well. And it's a good point, and I'm going to hit that, 1 second. But success comes when weight room preparation meets technique preparation. Right. That's when those two things meet up, when you're physically ready to do it, when you're mentally ready to do it, and you know what you have to do from a technique wise, not just the one thing you have to do, but how you can adjust if maybe you're supposed to get your hat on the right side and you don't. Those are the little things that coaches being able to prepare you for being uncomfortable. You have to become comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think what Will Friend does, and he's a great recruiter. You can go look at his track record. He signed a bunch of good players, but if you notice from his guys and you say, okay, you look at this past year at Tennessee, I'll watch Tennessee come down and run through Auburn's defensive line like they weren't there. Now, Auburn wasn't very good on the defensive line, but if you look at Tennessee, number one, they look like they're supposed to. That's the first thing. They look like they're supposed to. Right. The second thing is they kind of had that edge a little bit. And in games, listen, and when you don't have a quarterback, the offensive line can be great. They can be great. But when teams just stack the box against you and they have more numbers than you do, you're not going to have a lot of success running the ball unless that extra numbered guy misses the tackle every time and everybody else executes their block. So what I think you're going to get from Will Friend is an offensive line that when they get off the bus, you say, okay, well, that's a little bit different. They, kind of like the Auburn basketball team now gets off the bus and you're like, wow. Look like Kentucky. Right. Now they're not playing like Kentucky right now, but actually they actually are playing like Kentucky right now. But the thing about Will Friend is his guys, they tend to play with a chip and they tend to get better as the game goes on. That's one thing that I've noticed about him. And I think he's a really good in-game coach. Preparation wise, all that stuff, but there's something to be said from an offensive line coach that can be on the sideline, get the group over there, get on the board, say, number one, what are you guys seeing? Mm-hmm. All right, here's what I'm seeing. Here's what I think we do. And if you watch Tennessee, when they make adjustments or wherever he's been, whenever they make adjustments on the offensive line, they tend to have a lot more success running the ball in second half. So I think Will Friend is a guy, and it's a little change up from what Auburn's had, is a guy that can come in during the game, can go over there and sit with the 5-star offensive lineman and say, listen, you guys are getting off the combo way too quick. You've got to hold on more. We're going to ride it a little bit longer because they're slow playing us at linebackers. Just little stuff like that I think Auburn wasn't able to adjust. I think a lot of it may be scheme too. I think what Mike Bobo does in the run game mixed with what Brian Harson's going to do. I mean, if you're an offensive line coach, if I'm Will Friend and I walk in the room and you say, hey, we're going to blend Mike Bobo's run game with Brian Harson's run game, and we're going to run stretch and outside zone and blend that with the power and blend that with the counter. As an offensive line guy, that's my bread and butter. I want a little bit of both so I can keep these monster defensive linemen in the SEC off balance and they don't know, okay, here comes split zone. Oh, okay, here comes inside zone. Oh, Pegues is in the hip. Well, it's definitely split zone. And if they pass it, they're going to run the slip play to him off play action. So I think a lot of it is the scheme, but I think Will Friend is exactly what Auburn needed, especially from a recruiting standpoint at the offensive line, because they've got to sign some tackles. I've said it all along, and I'll keep saying it. Auburn played with more guards than the Houston Rockets this past season, and they've got to change it.
No, absolutely. So that's a perfect segue into Mike Bobo. So what I heard when I asked a few people about Bobo's, they definitely said that it was the run game and his use of the tight end, which is something that Harsin probably was in love with, especially with the tight end room that we have. What do you think Mike Bobo's impact will be And you can reiterate about the run game, but just tell me what you really think about this hire as a whole. We already talked about Friend and the meshing point between Harsin and Bobo. How do you feel like that dynamic will work, and how will it work to make Auburn successful?
Yeah. Well, first off, I want to answer your last question first. I think it's a great question. I actually asked that to Cole Kulick on the show because, I mean, everybody's got egos. But, Mike Bobo's the type of guy that, he's been in places. He understands the deal. He understands what's going on. I think him and Brian Harsin hit it off. They played against each other many times. It's always been very complimentary of each other. I think from a preparation standpoint, it really stood out to Brian Harsin because Mike Bobo does do things and not just in the run game. There's stuff he does in the passing game. If you look at Colorado State, they finished, pretty decent passing in the conference. If you go back and look at some of the old Georgia tape, what they did out of 10 personnel with Aaron Murray and some of the other guys is pretty good. And I love what they do out of Trey, which is, think about that as trips with the tight end attached. So it's 3-by-1, but with a tight end instead of 4 receivers. Right. I think he does some really good things, especially in the seam down the field, which is what Auburn's been missing. You bring up Frazier, but when I look at the blend of what Bobo will do as a play caller and the offense that he likes to run, and I look at what Brian Harsin did as a play caller and the offense he likes to run, philosophically, they're pretty similar. Now, Brian's a little more innovative. They'll do a little more alternative stuff, whether it's wildcat, trick plays, some funky formations. And I think if you can take that and mix it with what Mike Bobo does, because Mike Bobo played quarterback and he understands what the quarterback sees, and he's always going to try and put the quarterback in a position to be successful and not put him in harm's way. But the difference in the offense you're going to see this year from Auburn is there will actually be a progression from the quarterback. And what does that mean? Well, it tends to make quarterbacks stay in the pocket longer. Well, what does Bo Nix have to do? He has to stay in the pocket longer. So I think Brian Harsin took all that and said, okay, not only can Mike Bobo give me that and quarterback development as well, he can also go into any high school in the Southeast and know the high school coach and get me a foot in the door, because all I need is a foot in the door to be able to get some of these kids so we can compete in recruiting right off the bat. So I know it's not a sexy hire for Auburn fans. I know there's some Auburn fans that think of Mike Bobo and think of the old guard in the SEC. And look, I understand that. I get that. But there's a stigma too around Mike Bobo that he's just going to get in the eye and pound the ball the whole time. Now, when you have Tank Bigsby, that's not a terrible idea, but he's going to do some things out of lighter personnels, 10 personnel, 11. I love what he does out of 11. I can't wait to see what Brian Harsin and Mike Bobo cook up for JJ Pegues and Brendan Frazier and John Samuel Shanker and Luke Deal and Landon King and the whole legion of tight ends that are at Auburn out of 11 personnel, not only attached, but detached as well. So it should be fun.
So, and I'm glad you brought that up. So I'm thinking, like you said, so when I think Bobo, I think the old guard, and I started going to the 20 personnel type settings, and I'm thinking, man, imagine some 21 or some 22 or whatever, and instead of being the H-back, Pegues is the fullback, right?
Yeah, you can do some. It'll start to look like the NFL does in the red zone, because if you watch the NFL in the red zone, that's when they pull out all the tricks, because it's really hard. And I say tricks, but you bring in certain formations and guys, to run your gap scheme stuff. I mean, to run
slip the fullback, right? Yeah. It's easy.
But the thing with heavier personnels that I think stands out is it's one thing to be able to get in heavy personnels and have weapons to run the ball. It's another thing to be able to get in heavy personnels, have weapons to run the ball, and a play action passing game that can also be deadly off of that. That's what separates offenses when you get inside the 15, when you get inside the 5 and it's 3rd and goal from the 3 and they don't know if you're going to pass it or run it. You're able to go in that bag, and it's not, the pick play that everybody runs on the 2-point conversion or the slip play to the tight end. You actually have multiple formations, multiple play action sets and bootlegs, and some stuff that defenses, quite frankly, haven't had to prepare for with Auburn in a really, really long time. And another thing I think that Bobo and Harsin gives you offensively, at least for the first year, maybe 2 years, is that if it is a true blend, which I think it will be, it's something different, which means that the book is not on you, which means you're throwing pitches that they don't know you have. So at least for a year or 2 years, you can catch people slipping.
Man, and you know what? You just gave me a beautiful vision. I'm imagining Auburn, 1st and goal from the 5. You got Bo Nix. You got Tank Bigsby at tailback. You got Pegues at fullback. Let's say you go, we'll go Frazier at tight end. Pick any of the wide receivers. You can go Capers. Let's go Capers and Canyon, right? And who do you stop? right?
That's exactly right.
It's like, so basically,
well, the best, like Dukes, the best way I can explain it, I can explain it in 3 words, and Auburn fans will understand what I mean in these 3 words. And here comes some nostalgia, and here comes a flashback. Al Borges, under center, Cooper Wallace. Think about those 3 things.
Right.
Think about those, how deadly that was every now and then. Right. You just wouldn't hear from Cooper Wallace. You just wouldn't hear from him. Where is he? He's blocking great. He's blocking great. Oh, the slam and slide. Cooper Wallace just went for 35 yards. Or he scored a touchdown. Or just having that ability, because what it does, like, and as a defensive guy, and I'm a defensive guy, so when you're preparing for people and you're able, because it's one thing to put it in the playbook, Dukes. It's another thing to run it during the game. You know what I'm saying? If you put that on tape, now if I'm a DC, in a conference where there's so much pressure and I'm getting paid and I've got to dot every I and I've got to cross every T. Now I can't just say we're going to play Auburn. We're going to stop split zone. We're going to stop gap scheme, and they're in trouble in the passing game, regardless of what personnel they come out in. Now it's when I play Auburn, it's okay, so we got to, all right, let me get on the board. Here's what they do out of 10 personnel. Here's the 3,500 things they do. Okay, then they're going to get in some jumbo formation. Now let's go 22, and they're going to run these 33 things, and they have 6 pass plays. And now you're having to script practice, and you're like, we're going to be at practice for 6 hours. Like, we're legitimately going to be at practice for 6 hours. And what that does is it spreads out your preparation time evenly, so you can't focus on that one thing. And that one thing, or that one adjustment, that if you got those extra reps in practice or an inside drill, could be the difference in that 4th and 1 play, getting a stop or losing the game. So there's so many little things, and you hear coaches talk about it all the time. And I say stealing practice time. It's an art form. That's why you'll see a lot of guys, it'll be late in the game and they'll be up and they'll just run something that looks funny or that you haven't seen before. And you're like, what are we doing? The only reason they're doing that is to get it on tape. So now the other team watches it and they're like, well, we got to prepare for it. We got to put it in the script. So there's a lot of gamesmanship too that goes on as well with that. Right,
man. That's really a great way to put it. And it's another thing too, like the lead up into it. So we've covered everybody. We've covered all the new coaches. What about the co-D coordinator that they brought over? I can't pronounce. What is it? Schmington?
Yeah, somebody asked me, Schmedington. Somebody asked me where that left some of the guys on the staff. I said right in the schmeddle. Yeah, man. You know, he's a guy. I know him and Harsin are tight. I know they're boys. I think he's helped them throughout this, whole process, honestly. And he's a guy, just another experienced guy coming in. You look at the army that Brian Harsin's building, the personnel that he's surrounding himself with, the amount of coaches, and a lot of it's about comfortability. It's a blend of trust and comfortability, and you mix that with a guy like Derek Mason, and I mean, you got a lot of minds in that room.
Doesn't, like, even the staff that we have right now look just serious as hell? They just look like, hey,
well, right now, even without, and every hire is important, even without the guys that I think they're going to end up getting. I mean, you look at this staff right now, and it's really balanced on guys that obviously are coming with Harsin, and a lot of them will be off the field roles or smaller roles from a coaching standpoint. But you surround yourself with a structure of people you trust, and you go hire the best position coaches, not only schematically and teaching the fundamentals, but from a recruiting standpoint, and you have a machine. And I've said it all along. When you play Alabama and you play Georgia, it's not just your 11 versus those 11. It's not just your first 22 versus their first 22. It's your machine and your company and your organization versus their organization. Because a lot of these games are won way before they're ever played.
Right. And to another point, too, I know a lot of people are asking about, we're talking about the rest of the coaching staff, about who would be retained from Auburn's current staff. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people are saying, we'll find out really soon about T. Will and Cadillac. And a lot of people are saying Garner's out. Crime Dog took the job at Miami. So
or Florida, right?
It was Florida? He went to Florida?
Yeah, Florida.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Oh, I almost slipped.
Yeah, you're thinking it. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
You're good.
Yeah, but sorry but that'll come out too. Yeah. Crime Dog took the job at Florida. Right. And I don't know anything about the job in Miami. And
what are you talking about?
Yeah. But when you look at it, like, so one thing is I do expect for there to be 2 linebacker coaches. Based on what Boise did, they had somebody with the outside linebackers, which would be considered to be the buck in our last offense. I think they're called studs now. And I think you'll have 2 coaches.
That's what they're called in the league. They call them studs in the league. That's what they call them.
So, either way it goes, like you're going to have two linebacker coaches on the staff, and we'll reconvene when they finish the staff, maybe put another show out. But man, recruiting wise, how do you feel Bobo, and what do you feel like Bobo brings, and do you think that he'll be bringing a particular 5-star with him? Quarterback.
I mean, you look at the quarterbacks that he signed. I mean, he developed Matt Stafford. I mean, developed Aaron Murray. You just go down the list, and there's been a lot of quarterbacks that have been very successful under Mike Bobo's tutelage. You look at Gunnar Stockton. He has the number 1 quarterback in the 2022 class committed right now, and the kid's a stud. He reminds me of the kid from North Carolina a little bit, Sam Howell, in the way that he plays. He's a team leader. Now, I believe his head coach is Connor Shaw's brother. So he's committed to South Carolina. You know, Connor Shaw played at South Carolina.
Where is he at?
I think
Raymond
he committed
County?
there for Mike. He's at, yeah, that's right, in Tiger. Yep, in Georgia. Yep. I do believe, though, he committed there fully for Mike Bobo. And if you're looking for a guy, I mean, you got Bo Nix, obviously, and this kid's a 2022 kid. So he went and signed in this class. He'd be signed in the next one. You talk about a guy after Bo Nix leaves and Demetrius Davis is there and doing his thing to be able to come in and have another elite quarterback and just add it to the list. As long as Auburn is at as long as Mike Bobo is at Auburn will have a chance to sign some of the top quarterbacks in the country.
I personally, I really like Gunner's game. I asked some coaches around. They gave me some pointers and games for me to go look at and to see that he's really a true dual threat. And it's more so he's a real live dual threat. Sometimes you get those dual threat guys like Jeremy Johnson was what he came out with, like dual threat, but he was the furthest thing from it. And,
he ended up not even really being a threat. He was more just like a tropical rainstorm that never turned into a hurricane. Oh my goodness! Not
going there, Jay. Put that on.
I know. I'm sorry,
Jboy. Not me.
Yeah.
But shout out to JJ, man, War Eagle. But he definitely wasn't a dual threat, if that, So you see those rankings come out and you see, okay, well, just because he can run in the high school level, he's a dual threat. Gunnar Stockton is a true dual threat. Mm-hmm. He's kind of a guy, he may be, and I see he's a more aggressive runner than Bo Nix is. And you see he has, surprisingly enough, as far as when you see these highly ranked guys, you see them with they kind of play like they play with privilege, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, hey, I'm gonna stick my chest out on every throw because I know that I'm the number 1 quarterback. Like I know
him on TV right now.
Right. Let me make sure. Oh yeah, okay. I'm not gonna run. I'm gonna go out of bounds. Like I'm gonna slide. Like right. Like, man, Gunnar Stockton is a true playground. Yeah. I just want to win, and I'm psyched to be here type quarterback. And I think that's why people are so crazy about him. And he does have such a high ranking. And I would love for Bobo to be able to bring him. And I think that the lure of knowing that he recruited a guy like that to go to South Carolina while he was there, of all the programs that wanted him, he got an early commitment from him, just speaks to who he is as a guy. He is coached by Jboy Shaw. Yeah. Yep.
Not Jboy Shaw.
Not
Jboy Shaw.
Jboy Shaw. Yeah. Man, was he at Georgia Tech?
Man, if you didn't ask me that right now, I'd be able to tell you that. Man, the thing with Gunnar that I like is he just, you hear people say he's got moxie. What does that mean? Well, he really legitimately, and it's something that I think at the next level, they're going to have to maybe kind of slow him down, because when he runs, it's not I'm running to get a first down. It's I'm running to score a touchdown. Right. I've got enough wiggle to do it. But he'll stick his face in there every time. And, it gets the team fired up and all that stuff. But what I think Gunnar allows you to do is just from a game plan standpoint, I just talked about it, having to defend it. But as an offensive guy, the whole kitchen's open. You can run whatever you want. You can mix in a little, your zone read game and your triple game and stuff like that, which, if you're talking about a quarterback to run a spread option, system that can then go under center and run play action and throw the sail to the field, that's a problem for defenses. That's a ton to prepare for. And when you have a guy that can do that, it's like having a pitcher that can throw 4 pitches for strikes at any point in time. They always keep you off balance, and you hope you run into one. That's about how it goes.
Right. Hopefully I catch the fastball, right?
Yeah, either that or hopefully I was able to see the spin early, keep my hands back, and go the other way, or else I'm out.
Right, or exactly, man. And man, Jboy, man, it's been a pleasure, man, to have you back on. And man, tell everybody where they can find you at. And we definitely have a pretty cool announcement coming. Can we do it yet, or are we gonna wait?
Yeah, we can go ahead and hit in a little bit. Number one, you can find the Jboy Show on Twitter, on Instagram at the Jboy Show, Spotify, Apple Podcast, everywhere. Just the Jboy Show, JBOY. Check us out. We're talking all SEC all the time. I got some great guests coming up as well, including Philip Dukes from Trust the Scoop. But we are also going, and I'm not going to give all the details right now. We're going to start doing a show as well on YouTube, probably once a week for subscribers. And really, I mean, it's YouTube, so it's open to the public, and we're going to have a lot more information. There's going to be a certain place that's going to be sponsoring that we're really excited about that we'll roll out, and we're going to be taking questions live from you guys and discussing kind of how we are now, and it'll be a lot of fun. So Dukes, I'm pumped. We'll obviously have more info, and that's cool. We got to break that on here today.
Man, no, absolutely, man. So everybody from Trust the Scoop, stay tuned. We got another segment with former Auburn offensive lineman Marcus McNeill. That'll be super cool. Hey, Big Mac says, "What up, Jake?"
Hey, I used to love watching him play. The mountain of the man with sweet feet, baby.
Man, sweet feet, man. And we'll get into all of that. So until next time, stay tuned, and I'll see you in a second.
All right, Dukesy.
Yo, welcome to the latest edition of Trust the Scoop. I'm your host, Philip Dukes. Catch me on Twitter at Dukes the Scoop, on Facebook at Philip Dukes, and on Instagram at Dukes the Scoop. Make sure you hit the link below and subscribe. Today, I got a very, very special guest, one of my close partners from when I did go to Auburn, man, when I was down there, straight off the east side, man. One of the greatest offensive tackles in Auburn history, the man, the myth, the legend, Marcus McNeill. What's up, big dog?
What going on, CP?
Hey,
man, what going on, bro?
Man, what's happening, man? You know, we doing it this way, man. Man, where you at? It a little light out there. Where you even at right now?
Oh man, I'm at the crib, man. I'm out here in San Diego, bro. You know
what I'm saying?
Yeah, hey, I'm on the West Coast, man. You know,
man, West Coasted it, man. I ain't seen you, man. I ain't gonna lie. Man, I probably ain't, man, you know, I ain't gonna say the last place I see you at, bro. We ain't gonna go there, man.
Bro, it's all good.
I think we was at Club Miami with Joe Walker's first time with G's. It probably about 5, 6 in the morning.
Yeah.
Good. That was the last thing. Damn, that might have been the last time I seen you. I said, damn, look at my dog. I like, they're like, and my partner don't like, hey, bro, don't be running up on security like that. I said, boy, that boy ain't no security. Boy, that my partner, man.
Hey, we bobbing through that looking like security, though. Promise you that, nah.
Nah, for sure, man. But look, man, it's a crazy time in Auburn, man. We just let go of Coach Malzahn, you know, great Auburn, man. We bring in a guy from Boise State on the West Coast, Brian Harsin. Talk to me about, so you being from Georgia, and you know how Georgia football was, and is, right? It's going to get bigger and better. Talk to me about the differences that you see on the West Coast when it comes to high school football and potential recruits, and the Southeast, and where you came from, and what the differences are, and how do you feel like having some of that West Coast flavor might be able to help us out in Auburn?
Oh, man. I say in high school football, the skill positions are very skilled out here on the West Coast. You know, wide receivers, running backs, you know what I'm saying? They got good feet. They real shifty. They're fast, you know what I'm saying? But compared to down south, you know, you just got a different breed of boys. I don't know if it's that sun and humidity that you put on them at the same time.
Right.
But hey, them boys grow big and fast, you know what I'm saying? So it's just really a different level of physicality that's coming from down south that you can't really imitate that.
Right.
I'm sorry, you can't, you know. So
absolutely. Now it's funny you say that. Now I'm gonna take you back right here. Now, being a guy as big as you were, school you came 6'8", 330 easy, right? Okay, cool. All right. So, when everybody else, y'all at practice, okay, cool. My domain used to be the act. I want to go intramural basketball, you know, whatever, right? I pick Big Mac on my team. I said, hey, Mac, come run with me. Okay, I get you in, JP. Bro, you want to be the point guard.
Bro, I got skill, bro. I got skill, bro. Come on. Hey,
6'8", 330. Hey, look, I'm tripping
I'm trying to let y'all know what was going to happen before it happened. You see the big man not handling the rock. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you right. You right,
I already knew which way it was going.
Man, look, I'm tripping like, so I thought you asked for the ball in the backcourt. I was like, all right, cool. You know what I mean? Man, you get the ball, man, come down. What? Hey, bro, what's going on? What is this?
Hey, but
boy might have picked the wrong sport.
Bro, we hooping, man. You know, I don't know if a lot of people know this, man, but I actually went, when I was coming to Auburn, I was supposed to be a 2-sport athlete. Like, that was one of the main things before I even came. Like, they already knew, listen, I play basketball. I actually love basketball more than I did football.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, whole family from North Carolina, so I grew up a big Michael Jordan fan. That was actually who I really committed to, was North Carolina, to go and be like a two-sport star.
I ain't know that.
Yeah, they changed up the coaching staff on me, you know, and whereas they brought in a different O-line coach right before I was about to come that next year. And when I met him, I just wasn't really feeling his vibe, you know. So I was like, man, I can't really do this more, you know what I'm saying? I told my folks, I was like, I don't really feel comfortable going there. I don't think this man right here gonna really be able to like accept me for who I am. I like to have fun, you know what I'm saying? I'm kicking it. We always chilling, you know, joking around and stuff. And this guy was like, you know, like super serious. As soon as he come in, I'm like, man, I can't play for the police, daddy. You know what I'm saying? like, I'm sorry, you know. So they understood it. And because me and Auburn had a good relationship, you know, I was going to go down there and they said, hey, if you want to play basketball, it's all good. So, you know, I always want to do it, but hurt my back after my freshman year. And after I made the freshman All-American team, you know, the coach was like, hey, you know you can play basketball, you know what I'm saying? But hey, so told me, you can either go ahead and take the guaranteed 10 over here, or you can try and go make you some over here in the basketball. But if you just keep on being the great left tackle that we got you at, like, you locked in, you know what I'm saying? So like, I was like, you know what? In the mirror, what it is, I'm good, you know what I'm saying?
Right. and you know what's crazy about it, man? Like, it's funny because when I seen you with the ball in here, I was like, hey, man, like, he ain't regular. Like, you ain't look like you was just out there fumbling around. I was like, hey, this boy got real life skills. Like, give you something. Like, you feel me? Like, I was like, hey, I don't think I never told you that, but I was like, man, bro, I can hoop for real.
Hey, appreciate it, boy. Hey, me and my boy P, man, you know, we were coming to East Side.
Yeah, man, my boy P, man, I miss him, dog. I miss him.
Man, he doing good, man, raising all them chilling, man. You know,
man, hey, if for anybody out there, we talking about Jonathan Palmer, man, great guard. Wait, JP played guard or tackle with y'all?
He played every, man. He was a swing, man. He played center, guard, and tackle. You know what I'm saying? At Auburn, so.
Nah, man, Jonathan. Hey, JP, I call him Ellenwood. Ellenwood, man. Shout out to you, man. We need to get him on here, man. We need to.
We got to, man. I'm gonna pull him out the woodworks on him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, great Auburn, man. So when you watched Auburn this year, who was the one player that stood out to you amongst everybody on that team? Because it was kind of a disappointing year for us, but we did have a few standouts. Of anybody that stood out to you, who would you say?
I'm gonna go with the number one receiver we had, Seth Williams.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
bro. He's the real deal. He the butt naked truth, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
as somebody who was you went second round.
Second round, yeah.
Pro Bowl, all that stuff, right?
Pro Bowl, all that. You know what I'm saying?
For somebody who knows what it takes, how do you feel like Seth Williams' games translate to the NFL?
Well, a lot of times you have to have great ball skills at the wide receiver position, you know, and you got to be able to high point the ball. You know, when they throw that 50-50 ball, you got to have that guy that can go up there, get it out the air, you know what I'm saying, and come down with it. And I saw him do that time and time again. Right. You know, sometimes when niggas would throw the ball, I saw him throw the ball behind the man before and Seth still go get it. Right. And you have to be able to make some of those types of adjustments in the NFL, especially if you want to be an elite type receiver. And I think he has all the tools to be that big, strong body, you know what I'm saying, quick, can jump, can go get that ball at the high point. That's what you want at a quarterback position so that you can get those bombs, 40, 50-yard bombs down the field.
Right. No, absolutely, man. He was one of my favorite players, man, and I definitely wish him all the success in the NFL, man. Good young man, and he was a special take for Auburn, being that he came from like the Tuscaloosa area, so he came prepared to show out, and he did what he's supposed to do, man. So, man, Seth Williams, salute, and man, we appreciate everything you did. Now, let's get into something, and I want to bring some more of your playing experience out now. You played on one of the greatest offensive lines in Auburn history, and arguably are maybe the greatest, one of the. We got Willie Anderson, we got some guys.
Big Willie, Big Steve Wallace, them a big dog, you know what I'm saying? They came paid way before me, so I got mad respect for them.
But you up there, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? You one of the ones, like, it ain't a whole lot of guys that's come out of Auburn as at offensive tackle and became a Pro Bowl caliber player. And before injury, bro, you was on your way to, man, damn near Hall of Fame career, bro, to be honest. So, for somebody who knows the position and knows what it takes for offensive line, our offensive line this year at Auburn, I would say we were kind of, I wouldn't say outmatched, but I would say we have some guys playing out of position, right? So, and when I say that, we have some guards playing tackle, you have some tackles playing guard, and, the footwork is a major part of it. So with our offensive line, if you had to get a guy who had great size, let's say somebody like a Brodarius Ham, right? 6'5", 320, something like that, strong as an ox. He may not have the foot speed that you may have been blessed with, but we feel like he can get there. What would you do? What would you say to him, or what coaching points would you give him in order for him to be successful as a tackle with more of a guard nature?
It's all about the footwork. Like you said, it's all about that pad. When you play in guard, you can play more on the line of scrimmage, side to side. But whenever you playing at edge, you have to be able to set vertically very well, and that's all about footwork. So until you can take not just that first kick, because from what I saw, they would take a good first kick. Their first kick out of their stance is good. But then as soon as they get to that second and third, they're not trusting to keep their hips square. They go ahead and turn, what I'm saying, way too quick, which get them out of balance. So if I saw anything, I want them to continue to work on their footwork and understand it's really a dance out there. You know what I'm saying? Whenever you get out there, it's not a time where your feet need to stop and plant the ground. I'm sorry. Unless somebody just hitting you with a bull rush, and that's straight down the middle of your body. Somebody not really hitting you with a bull rush on the side, you just need to keep your feet moving. So I think it on the head when you talked about their footwork, guards playing tackle, that's just a totally different footwork that they have to learn. And the only way to really do it is continue to do it repetitively. That repetition is going to get you to where you feel comfortable. Okay. And until you do that, I don't think that you can really make the stride from guard to tackle that you need to, but those boys are so athletic on the edge.
Man, what? Hey, so with everything you just said, let me ask you this. Is there any chance that we can get you back on the plains in some type of coaching capacity? Any chance? I'm just throwing your name in the hat right now, bro. I just want to know.
Bro, I'm going to come on as a consultant or something. You know what I'm saying? People got their morale straight, man. But, right now, I'm loving life out in Cali, man. I don't think my wife going to let me come on back.
Oh, man.
She love it, man. And I love it. The kids love it. We just came out here back from Atlanta a couple of years ago.
Okay. Right.
Hey, I ain't never going to say never because I love my school that much.
Right. Nah. I mean, a lot of folks don't really understand how, like, a lot of us was able to, I might not see you for 5-10 years, but, as soon as I see you, it's whatever, it just go back, man. We was there at a special time. You get what I'm saying? Yeah. So, like, man, I don't think, like, the power of Auburn and the Auburn family is really strong, man. Even when you take guys from the hood like me and you, like, you put us in that type of environment, somewhere that gave us an opportunity to be successful and for us to be able to stick together regardless. I'm from the south side of Atlanta, you from the east side, but if you seen us anywhere else, you wouldn't know who was from where. You know what I mean? Yeah, so we were deep too now. Like back then.
I ain't gonna lie. We had a lot of Georgia boys over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And I think that's what made it so comfortable. But one thing about Auburn is it's a real family. It's a real live family. Like I'm out here right now. If I see some blue ones and they're right hue, You know what I'm saying? I hit them with that War Eagle. You feel me? They gonna come with it. They gonna come with the War Eagle and the smile.
It ain't gonna be no cap on. There's gonna be what?
Yeah. Like they ain't gonna hit you and just keep on walking. Like, oh, okay, no, they gonna turn around, hit you with a smile, and let they had the same experience we did, and it was like that on the plains. When you came in, you didn't really feel like isolated. You didn't really feel like people didn't care. It was like some of the nicest, genuine people that I've met in my life came from that school. So I ain't never had nothing but love for it. And we used to kick it. We used to kick it tough. You know what I'm saying? Down there. It felt. We had fun. Man,
it was home, bro. Like let me tell you what broke my heart the most, man. When they tore down the D, bro. When they tore the D down, they tore down. We call Sewell Hall the D, man. When they tore down the D, man, I was upset, bro. It don't look the same.
Hey, ain't nothing else to say. There's so many memories over there, man. Hey, they live good over there now, though, boy.
They would have had to kick me up out that cafeteria what they be eating, bro. What you talking about?
Like, boy, you graduated 4 years ago. Now, man, I like my right here. I just commute to work. What y'all talking about? Make sure I think about making Christmas, man. Come on with it, man.
Man, I'm telling you, man. But hey, last question. I got to get you to settle something, bro.
Go ahead.
All right, so I had J Cam on, right?
Okay.
I asked J Cam. So I was talking about Joe and Ben Grubbs and Road Grid. I said, who was best dressed, bro? And they was, man, look how J Cam did Road Grid. J Cam said, hold on, bro. J Cam said, well, it had to be Road Grid because he was stealing everybody's clothes. I was like, J Cam said that, right? Man. Hey, hold on, bro. All right. Then, so I get Rose Green on, right? I get Green on. Shout out to Green, man. Man, Rose Green leave me a message, bro. Cussing. Man, I wish I had the message pulled up, bro. I'm going to send it to you. Man, J Cam ain't a boop, boop. J Cam ain't a boop, boop. I'm a boop. I was wearing mother boop, boop, linen suits. Boop, man, he ain't never got no style. He was wearing jerseys, man. Don't tell his Road Green. Go off on him. So I bring Road Green on. All right. Road Green said, man, J Cam a lot. He's 6'5", how I'm steal his clothes. He said, I wore tight clothes back then. That's what he said. He said, I wore my clothes to fit back then. So if you were the judge and you were to say who was right or wrong, you ain't got to say either one. But in your personal opinion as the judge, who would you say was in the right?
I'm gonna say J Cam funny. For the comment first of all. I would say funny.
Man.
But I don't think Road Green couldn't have stole none of my clothes unless he stole some of my big white tees we used to wear back in the day.
Man,
so, you know what I'm saying?
I think J Cam had one shirt in particular. He might have let Road Green hold and ain't get back. You know how J Cam is.
Back. He felt salty because J Cam ain't gonna forget about that shirt. You know what I'm saying? That one thing we do know. He ain't gonna forget about
man,
that
he know
shirt.
The size, where he got it from, how much it costs, who back then. So he ain't forgot it. So Road Green, man, we let Mark McNeill be the judge. He cleared your name. Even though, you know what I'm saying, it don't take nobody to clear your name. But at the same time, we having fun like we used to kick it back in the day. So hey.
When I seen Road Green standing outside one time in the middle of the summer with a full out, Coogee sweater on,
man,
you know what I'm saying? the slim tight pants. I'm like, okay, like, bro, coming to dress to impress, bro. Man, you know what I'm saying? Like,
he don't play, bro. Can't play with him. He don't play. Now, man, I'm telling you, when I knew Road Green was different, man, it was freshman year when I first got to school. I was still 17 when I got there. So I'm from Atlanta. We were big clothes and all that. Them boy coming to Florida, man, I seen Road Green in a pink linen suit. Then he had the offset gold tee, big old gold chain. I was like, hey, man. I said, bro, the agent's already on campus. They ain't supposed to be here. Like, boy, that ain't no agent. Boy, that's a player. Boy, he a freshman. I said, God damn. Why? What they doing? What they doing in Lauderdale?
They bringing that Miami flavor up there, boy. They linen suit for real. What you talking about?
For him and Joe, you can't even hate on him, man. So, man, shout out the Dillard connection. But hey, man, Matt, man, I appreciate it, man. It was good to have you on, man. You got a podcast on your own. Tell people where to find you at, bro.
Yeah, man. You can find us on Spotify, Apple Music, man. 2 Pros and the Joe, man. Pros is with apostrophe, a little, you know what I'm saying? We're going to be possessive with ours, even though it's incorrect English. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Yes, sir.
Pros and the Joe. And this me and my boy Greg Camarillo, you know, Catch Camarillo, doing big things, played wide receiver with me out in San Diego and played for Miami Dolphins. Yeah. And then we got the Joe, Matt Scravy, you know what I'm saying? Intercom finest, you feel me?
Nah, it's entertaining too, bro. Here and then people get to see, like, I don't think for the people that don't know you, they may see you and, you know, see how big you are and see, you know, how you carry yourself. Well, you one of the funniest dudes in the world, bro. So it's good to be able to hear you like cut back and relax, bro. So definitely entertain the show. Y'all make sure y'all go check it out. But hey, man, Mark, well, I appreciate it, man. Much love, man. And it has his Auburn stuff go. I'll keep you updated a bit, dog.
Man, let me know, man. I had a good time. Appreciate you for inviting me on your show, bro.
Nah, for sure, man. We'll see you in a minute.
All right.